Empowering farmers with intelligence. EFL AG-DATA presents to you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the EFL AG-DATA Podcast, where we discuss the latest trend and development in the global feed and livestock market. I'm Alvin, and today we are discussing Vietnam's swine industry, which, despite some tough challenges, especially with African swine fever, the industry seems to be bouncing back. Here with me today is Matthew Clark to help us break it all down. Hello, Matthew.
Hi, Alvin. Hi.
So, Matthew, let's start with the big issue here, which is African swine fever. The government of Vietnam reported that it has culled more than 42,000 pigs this year, and there are about 660 outbreaks of ASF, which compared to last year, it's only 208. And considering that number, it's actually a huge spike. Um, what do you think, and how has this impacted Vietnam's overall pig population?
That's a good question. There's two conflicting things going on, actually. The ASF has spiked. It's gone up by about 3 in terms of the number of outbreaks, but the pig population is recovering quite well. Let's look at the data here. So we had the outbreak starting in 2018, yeah, and the population at that in 2019 was about 20 million pigs. And that has risen up to about 25 million pigs now. So the industry is recovering despite those ASF outbreaks occurring.
Yeah, well, considering the circumstances, I think we could say that that's actually quite a comeback. But what do you think is driving this recovery?
Well, I think it's down to biosecurity. Biosecurity has been the only weapon we've had against ASF for all these years. And the Vietnam market, like many others globally, has been focusing on biosecurity. There is also rollout of a vaccine, which is interesting. It's being tested in 40 provinces. And this is looking very promising. It'll be the second way we have of controlling ASF. So it's exciting.
Well, it sounds like they're really, would say, putting all the work necessary to help stabilize the industry. But now let's talk about pig production. And with these growing pig numbers, how has pig production been affected and when comparison to the previous years?
Oh, pig production. If we look at pork production overall, it was about 3.1 million tons of pork production in 2023. 2024 looks like being about 3.5 million metric tons of pork. So it's definitely up. There is strength in the industry, and it's grown significantly, I would say, even though ASF is still present.
Okay, now let's talk about pork production. With the growing pig numbers, comparing it to last year, you think how has pork production been affected?
Well, we look at the overall industry. It's on a positive trajectory. You know, the results are looking very good. We look at 2023 figures. We're going to be at around 3.1 million metric tons of pork produced. This year, we're looking at 3.5 million metric tons of pork produced. So there is a very powerful increase in the pork production despite the presence of ASF.
The local pork demand is still on the rise from the locals, and with the coming Tet Holiday, which is a big one in Vietnam. Do you think they can keep up with the rising demand?
Well, that's a good question. Planning of livestock output around holidays is a major headache in any country in the world because generally speaking, livestock enterprises produce the same amount of pork month after month after month. Now, with these rising numbers, of course, that's taking the edge off the problem. And what we think will happen is that some of the pigs will be slaughtered a little younger, some of them will be kept a little longer to hit the sweet spot of the market in the Tet Holiday. So I believe the industry can keep up with this. They have this foundation of that 3.5 million metric tons of pork coming through on average. So yes, we're in good shape for the Tet Holiday.
While it's clear that still uphill challenges expected that will affect the pork production and the rising demand from the locals, do you think that this year will be another increase for Vietnam's pig and pork production? And maybe you can tell us, like, what's your overall outlook for the rest of the year?
Well, I would say cautiously optimistic, the outlook. bear in mind that the industry has been putting biosecurity measures in place that are proving to be effective because we're gaining pigs rather than losing pigs. There's a net gain. So this is a very positive sign. ASF remains a threat. So biosecurity is going to be one of the main factors in controlling the disease, as with many others we've faced in the pork industry.
Well, it's clear that still some tough challenges ahead, but hearing from you, I think I could say that Vietnam's swine industry is being resilient despite these challenges, and we'll definitely have to keep an eye on how things develop there. And yeah, thank you so much for your insights, Matthew. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks, Alvin.
And to our listeners, thank you for listening in to another episode of the EFL Ag Data Podcast. We'll keep you updated of how things develop in the global feed and livestock market. Catch you up next time.